In this episode, we're going to use a framework to categorize your team from Brad Jacobs' book, How to Make a Few $Billion. We're going to discuss how to categorize your team, what to do with A players, B players, and C players, how to convert B players and change them into A players, and lastly, the 4 traits necessary to help a B player become an A player. DermBiz episode 5. Let's get started. In this video, we're going to go over what I believe is the most important part of your practice. We're going to address the most costly part of your practice, and we're going to address the biggest opportunity in your practice all in one. So I recently read this book by Brad Jacobs, and in chapter 5, he talks about a very key point in how to build teams. He discussed that you want to categorize your team members as A players, B players, or C players, and he goes over exactly how to do that. I'm going to go over that in a second and how that exactly works. But the key point is this: he says that if you have a team full of C players or too many B players, then most likely your business is not going to be too successful. Your practice is going to suffer because of that. And that could be your medical assistant, that could be your office manager, that could be your mid-level provider, your dermatologist, your esthetician, your front desk check-in person. It doesn't matter. He says that you want to minimize the C's and maximize the A's. Now, let's jump right into it. What's an A player? An A player is somebody who, if they came into your office today and gave you their letter of resignation, they were leaving your practice, you would absolutely freak out. An A player is somebody that you know that you can replace with another person, but once you replace them, they won't be able to do what that A player can do. An A player is somebody who's almost become a staple, almost like an extra limb, almost like one of your limbs in your practice. You couldn't imagine working without this individual person. So that's an A player. A B player is somebody who, if they came in and gave you your resignation, you would say, I really don't want them to leave, but I probably could find somebody who could replace them, maybe even somebody better. You got that response? That person is a B player. A C player is somebody who comes in and gives their letter of resignation, and you say, "Oof, I was going to have to fire that person anyway." So I'm glad that their resignation. As a matter of fact, I know for sure I could find somebody better than them. The first thing that he recommends you do, and I would recommend you do as well, is go through your entire team, your entire staff, and figure out who the A players are, figure out who the B players are, figure out who the C players are. And he has a strategy on what you do with each one of them. I'll go through each one of them individually. For the A player, you want to do everything you can to keep that A player. Is it a promotion? Is it some work from home days? Is it being able to tailor fit their schedule? But you want to continuously serve your A player and give them a little bit of autonomy, because most likely your A player does so much for you in your practice that trying to figure out somebody to replace them is going to be more costly to replace them than to work with them to find an environment that they can stay long term. Your C players, we'll get to the B players last. Your C players, he says that you want to aim to have a C free zone. A C free zone, meaning you don't want to have C players around. C players ruin the morale. C players lower the quality of service provided. C players create dissent. C players create issues and problems in the clinic. You'll find that C players consistently underperform. And you'll find that when somebody consistently underperforms, there's typically other issues that come along with them. But when a person is not doing well at their job, the author says they know it. And when a person is showing up to a place every day and not doing well, you're typically hard pressed to find that person to be very cooperative and somebody who's a pleasure to work with. And so exit the C players immediately. For the B players, the B players are typically people who have the foundation to become A players. However, there may be some things that you need to do relationally. Maybe there's a trust issue there with them. They don't quite trust you, or they don't quite understand what their role is. He recommends having a sit down one-on-one meeting with your B players and starting off by evaluating the relationship, asking them a question like, how would you rate our relationship on a scale of 1 to 10? Any number they give less than a 10, he asks them, his follow-up question is, how can we make it a 10? And that the answer to that question may be the starting process to turn your B player into A players. You can't turn C players into A players. And I don't think that he even recommends trying to turn a C player into a B player. But you may be able to turn a B player into an A player if they have some of the basic requirements. He says some of the basic requirements, and this applies to anybody that you hire. So even before you can see what kind of player they are, he recommends they have 4 traits: intelligence, hunger, integrity, and what he calls being collegial, basically being a good teammate. And so your B player, if they have all of those 4 qualities, there's a higher likelihood that you could turn that B player into one day being an A player. And so let's recap real quickly. He says the first thing you want to do is you want to determine who are your A players, who are your B players, who are your C players. The second thing you want to do is you want to exit the C players. The next thing you want to do is you want to do whatever you can to retain the A players within reason. I mean, obviously you have to do within reason, but try to do whatever you can to retain A players. And then the last thing is you want to see if you can change some of those B players, people who, if they left, you wouldn't think it's the end of the world. You think that you maybe could go hire somebody better. You want to change those B players into A players. He said the goal is to not only have a C-free zone, a C-free organization. You want to staff your entire team with all A's. You know, we're very blessed at our practice. I believe that we have all A's across the board in our team. It's taken us about 5 years to be able to put that together. But we're proud of the team that we have. And so I personally recommend going through this. This book was amazing because I never had it categorized that way, A player, B player, C player, but he did give me a framework on how to categorize people and how to build an outrageously talented team. If you follow the books that Brad Jacobs talks about and how to create an outrageously talented team, I believe that you'll see an increase in profitability. You'll see an increase in workplace satisfaction of your team members, and you'll also see an increase in patient satisfaction. Thank you.
What other specific topics related to the business of private practice management would you like for us to cover? Please share in the comments below or reach out to us on social media or our email address, dermbiz@gmail.com. Our mission is to create a movement of collaboration and support amongst physician-owned private practice owners. If you would like to join that movement, again, don't forget to like, share, comment, and please don't forget to subscribe.